on the go with Joe, and today he's trying to make sense of the primary election process.
For the first time in 40 years, Oregon Democrats will have a major voice in selecting their presidential nominee.
So how do the votes translate into delegates? Joe explains.
Well, it's finally here, the day Oregon will pick its candidates, and rule number one of the primary, it's all about the numbers.
I didn't realize there was this much math in politics.
Yes, there certainly is.
So how exactly does your vote pick a candidate? Well, first, we must consult the rule book. Yeah. So, as we all know by now, the name of the game is delegates. Oregon has 5 congressional districts, and for the Democrats, each district has a number of delegates based on how many people voted for John Kerry in 2004. Okay, now stay with me. Let's say a candidate gets 50% of the vote in a district that has 10 delegates. Well, in that case, they get 5 delegates. But if they get 55%, they get 5.5, which is rounded up to 6. So basically, the bigger the win, the more delegates you get.
Wouldn't it just be easier to say, hey, if you get 51% of the vote, you get all the delegates? Wouldn't it be easier for you guys?
Easier, but be less engaging.
That mathematical formula is used for all of the districts, which have a total of 34 delegates, and they also use it to divvy up 18 state delegates. So let's say you get 55% of the statewide vote, well then you get another 10 delegates. This all raises the question, who exactly are these delegates we hear about? Well, they can be anyone. Next month, they will be elected at district and state conventions. These delegate candidates have to sign up in advance and say which presidential candidate they are supporting. So if, say, Clinton won 25 delegates, they'd elect 25 Clinton supporters.
If you're elected at the congressional district level or at the state level as a pledged delegate, you must honor that pledge through the first vote at the convention.
The state convention in June will also elect one unpledged delegate, which brings us finally to the super delegates.
Actually, we're automatic delegates, not super delegate, because it's been created by the media.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Oregon has 12 automatics who can vote any way they like. They consist of elected officials and bigwigs like the state party chair.
Have you declared yet who you're supporting?
I have not, because we
you
have not had our
show right now? What do you think?
No, I'm not going to do it on our show right now.
In August, all of these delegates will travel to the national convention to cast their final vote. And then, at long last, we'll have an official nominee. And if your head is about ready to explode, well, thankfully, we're all done.
I think I got most of it, but I need to lie down.
Yes.
Are you doing this right now? A lot of people are. Don't feel bad. Joe says he focused on the Democratic primary because it's the more competitive race and more complicated process.
Some political analysts call Portland a liberal city, much like San Francisco or Los Angeles. But the Rose City has nothing on a sleepy little burg that covers just a few rural blocks where even the conservatives are liberal.
In the world of politics, it is the infamous L word. But on this lonely stretch of State Highway 213, everyone is a little liberal.
Liberal is a very liberal place, if I can be liberal and saying it like that.
The community of Liberal, Oregon, I'm not even sure you can call it a town, sits quietly between Oregon City and Molalla, just as it has since the mid-19th century. Any idea where the name Liberal came from?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I haven't lived here long enough to know that, so.
I think Ralph Nader had something to do with it. I'm not exactly sure.
I don't think so.
Of course, in politics, the word liberal is usually used by Republicans to describe Democrats, who in turn prefer to call themselves progressives. And what's interesting is how many folks in liberal are in fact conservative. So do you know who you're going to vote for?
McCain.
Do you know who you're voting for?
Probably McCain.
You're from liberal, but you're voting for John McCain.
We kind of tease about the name. Because we live on liberal does not necessarily mean that that's who we are.
And back to the name, the popular theory is that it comes from this historic country store, which in its early days had a very liberal credit policy. So on the election map, don't color liberal blue just yet.
I still say Hillary should have won, so.
Well, some say she's liberal. So Democrats, Republicans, conservatives, and yes, liberals, they will all get a chance to make their choice in November.
I'm a Green Party liberal Republican.
You're a Green Party liberal Republican.
On paper, yeah.
I think my head just exploded. And remind Americans that sometimes the L word is in fact just a word. Have fun voting this year.
Oh, thank you.
You old liberal, you?
Yeah.
Give me one of these.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Now, in the interest of equal time, I tried to find a conservative Oregon. Does not exist. The closest I came was Republican City, which is just outside Lincoln, Nebraska. And not surprisingly, Lincoln is that state's most liberal city. Pete.
I was testing our knowledge of our commanders-in-chief. Here now is part 2 of Joe's presidential pop quiz.
Okay, well, I'm going to spare you the Gettysburg Address, but today I am continuing my presidential IQ test. This is, in fact, the day when we celebrate our past leaders. So what do Oregonians know about presidential history? I'm here to get the honest truth. One of these men was a president. 2 of these men shot a president. Name the president. John Tyler, John Hinckley, John Booth. Name the actual president.
Hinckley. No!
John Booth. John Booth.
John Hinckley.
I got shot for this.
Tyler.
Yes. Can you name George Washington's wife?
Oh, God. Mrs. Washington.
Can you name George Washington's wife?
Stella.
Can you name Britney Spears' ex-husband?
Kevin. Federline.
Yes. Whose term was marked by passage of the Payne-Aldrich tariff, a source of concern for his fellow progressives in 1909? You know, I don't think that's supposed to be in there.
Okay.
Sorry about that. How many years did George Washington live in Washington, D.C.?
What? 8,
A little bit less.
6,
A little bit less.
4.
Keep going.
8, and he moved from there to upstate New York, someplace.
No, that was Hillary Clinton.
None.
Exactly. It was named after him, it turns out.
That was a trick question.
Yeah, I just found that out myself. I think you guys got the A. Nicely done. So you can go back to your books now.